Welcome to TwoQuestions.tv. I'm your host, Susan Baroncini-Moe. With me today is Mitch Fanning, and we're talking about influencer marketing. Joining me today is Mitch Fanning, the VP of Marketing for Clickback, a software as a service company that offers leading cloud-based B2B lead generation software products. They're uniquely designed to accelerate lead growth. Mitch, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Susan.
Well, I'm so glad that you're here because I understand you know a little something about influencer marketing, which I've dabbled on in both the marketing side for clients as well as an influencer. And it's clear that influencer marketing is super effective, but you say that there are some serious weaknesses that we need to be aware of. What are some of those weaknesses?
Well, first, we have experimented with referral type marketing at Clickback. I wouldn't say I'm an expert at influencer-based marketing, although we're looking at experimenting with that in the near future. One of the kind of inherent risks that I would say when looking at doing influencer marketing is number one, or actually any type of experimenting with any type of particular marketing is that there's really no silver bullet. So that's kind of just overall. Most people are looking at this like this is the silver bullet that will help them kind of generate results for their programs. But it's kind of interesting, when I look at this, people are kind of looking at influencer marketing like it's this new thing, and actually it's not new at all.
Yeah,
it's really just paid advertising with a celebrity endorsement. So, but I think
or celebrity, let's say.
Celebrity, yeah. I think one of some of the inherent trends in experimenting with this is that it tends to be short-lived, or there tends to be a loss of control in your message. So what I mean by that is somebody's looking at promoting what you're doing, and they're trying to inject you in, say, their podcast. They'll do it in a way that's not intrusive, and then they'll kind of move on to other things.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you can't really control how they introduce your product or service. So that's kind of one of the inherent risks. But I think the big one is that trust is actually not transferable. And what I mean by that is that these influencers have built a following, and people trust them. And I think a lot of marketers feel that because that's the case, that when they show your product, that trust that they have will automatically transfer over to you. And more times than not, that's not the case at all.
And it's short-lived. You meant when you were talking about short-lived, this isn't something like when companies hire me, for example, as an influencer, I don't continuously market their brand. I don't continuously mention them. Exactly. I mention them like the one while they're paying me. And when we're done with that promotion, I'm done. I'm not going to keep promoting that brand, right?
Well, exactly. And that's the thing. On the flip side, with someone like, for example, yourself, you need to be careful. You need to show relevance, mm-hmm. for one, because you can very quickly alienate your audience if you're still in something that kind of seems that it's not congruent with your audience. And if you keep continuously saying it, it almost feels like you've sold out. So
right.
There's that risk as well on the flip side.
Yeah, I have no problem saying I've sold out since the beginning. I've always, as long as I've had an audience, I was like, let's leverage it. Let's share great products with them. That's fine with me. So, but they have to be brand appropriate. And I've been sensitive to making sure that the things that the brands I choose to work with are appropriate for my audience and make sense. Like I'm not going to, dilute my brand that way. So I think that's something influencers aren't careful about. But there are ways for companies to work with influencers and perhaps other strategies that they can bring into an influencer marketing campaign that might be more effective? What are some of those things that they can do?
Well, actually, maybe before we get into that, I want to touch on what you just said there. You know, I've often said that the best marketing strategy is have a product or service that people like or use or even love.
Fair.
And so, you know, and that's the thing. I think influencer marketing or referral marketing can work if inherently the product or service is something that people like or love, depending on how you look at it or the industry. And it's something that authentically the influencer uses, and it's something that you feel almost like a friend is referring you to. So, you know, inherently, I think that's how it works best, as far as just an overall, like just a kind of a central strategy.
Interesting. And metrics, are metrics relevant here? I asked that as a loaded question, knowing the answer.
well, there's this big shift in marketing. You know, it's been happening over the last couple of years. And we talk about kind of vanity metrics, and we even talk about, you know, leading versus lagging metrics. And so one of the things that we constantly do here at Clickback is we're always looking at the revenue that marketing is bringing in and the ROI on that revenue. You know, I always say to the team, if we follow the money, the leads will follow. Right. So when you're looking at experimenting with influencer marketing, at the end of the day, it has to bring in revenue, customers, and it has to have an ROI. Now, when you're initially experimenting, you can look at leading indicators like leads and other sub-metrics that you can track depending on what type of influencer marketing you're doing. But at the end of the day, you can optimize against sub-metrics, but at the end of the day, you know, every quarter you have to look at it and say, you know, did it bring in revenue? Right. Did it bring in customers? And was the ROI, you know, acceptable?
I always feel like if that is a part of the equation from the beginning, if that is the ultimate goal in mind versus likes or retweets or comment, like if it's actually conversions and revenue that is the goal, then it means that all along the process, people are choosing better influencers that actually have an audience that's engaged. They're choosing people who understand their brand and their audience and know how to position things. But I also think there's a give and take between brands and influencers that, you know, like I've had a brand that had a very clear idea of what they wanted, and it was super assertively advertorial, let's say. And I think things sometimes work better when they're woven a little more into a narrative, a little more gracefully. And so I think it's important to listen to the influencer if they know their audience well. But there's, you know, there are so many campaigns out there and so many influencers, and it's hard to, you know, find an agency that's not just checking off the boxes, like, okay, I need this many influencers doing this and that kind of stuff. So, but are actually looking to engagement so that they can achieve the revenue. And so I'm always thinking, like, don't you want to just make money? Wouldn't you like that to be your goal? Yeah. Not shares and likes, like that's not real. So yeah, interesting.
No, again, you and case in point, there are things that we've experimented with, because we're a big advocate of experimentation, but we've seen results in the vanity metrics, like the sub metrics or even lead gen or even demand, but over a quarter haven't actually brought in customers and revenue. So even though it looked really good on paper as far as the demand side of things, at the end of the day, we had to cut because it wasn't actually producing results.
Yeah. I mean, a part of me wants to go, yeah, but some of these blog posts are useful for SEO, and that ultimately indirectly leads to revenue. But at the same time, you know, what are the goals ultimately? What does it lead to in the end?
Yeah,
Complicated stuff.
it is. And you're actually bringing on another side of it called, on the attribution side. So you're right. But attribution modeling is very complex. But yeah, there are things like influencer marketing that can help with or leverage results in other channels as well. You're absolutely right, Susan.
Yeah, attribution is way too complicated. That's way more than 2 questions.
Yeah, that's I haven't drank enough coffee this morning to get through that one.
Mitch, tell me this. And this is a bonus question, but what exactly does Clickback do?
Well, Clickback, we build software for marketing and sales teams to help them accelerate lead growth. That's kind of our value prop. It's kind of, and a good example of that is our latest product called Clickback Web, which helps companies actually identify companies that have come to their website, but actually haven't converted. Like they haven't filled out a form or they haven't contacted you. So, I mean, it's useful because one of the things we've realized is that depending, which study you read, but up to 98% of people that come to your site actually don't reach out to you. So, and so what we're doing is we're helping companies kind of recover those leads, recover those opportunities. And up to date, we've actually recovered over almost, I have to look at it, but almost 1 million leads for our users. Yeah.
Wow.
Who haven't actually reached out to them, but they were potentially leads for the company.
So is that, I'm asking you way too many questions, but is that, I don't care today. I'm recovering from the flu, people. All right, we're going rogue. So is that like retargeting, or how are you doing? Is that sort of an under the radar thing? What's the?
Well, we do have a secret sauce, but one thing I can say is that when you actually put the code snipper on your site, you start seeing the companies. And it's really the data that's being collected. So we've got a big data infrastructure that allows us to show it's all based off IP, but it allows you to show the companies that have come to your site, and then we provide you. And the way we kind of stand out from other competitors, we provide you with potential contacts or decision makers at those companies that would be useful for your sales team, your outbound sales team to reach out to.
I feel so much better about that being used in a B2B capacity than B2C.
Yeah, and that's typically why we have another product, but we're in the B2B space. So
yeah,
and we've our initial, we just launched last year, and our customers have seen good success so far.
Wow, congratulations! That's awesome.
Thank you.
Well, listen, thank you so much for being on the show today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, viewers, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.